Hi, I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of the Greenhouse integration with Cronofy to show you how you can automatically generate self-serve scheduling links for candidates based on how your candidates are moving through your particular interview pipeline. So I'm going to start in Greenhouse and show you how, as a recruiter, as a Greenhouse user, you would basically take advantage of the integration and the kind of automation that's there and give you some idea, some clue on the kind of the setup options you have. And then at the second half of this video, I'm going to do kind of slightly deeper dive into the configuration and some of the rules you can set up. There's obviously lots you can do, but this should give you a taste for what the integration allows you to make possible. So we have a job here in Greenhouse. Simon Connor's applied for our account manager role, and he's in the application review stage, and we've actually decided that we'd like to move him forward. So we're going to move this forward here, click on the move stage and move him forward to a phone screen. Now this is all kind of standard Greenhouse. We've got in our interview plan a preliminary screening call, but what we've done is we've wired Cronofy up to listen for those changes, so that point at which a candidate moves through this pipeline. And what we've done with Cronofy, we said Cronofy generate a self-serve scheduling link for that candidate at this particular stage, at this preliminary phone screen stage. And again, I'll show you how to set that up. And we've asked Cronofy to kind of try and work out the interviewer based on the context for the interview plan defined in Greenhouse. Now, in this case, the interview plan doesn't have an interviewer defined, a default interviewer defined for this particular phone screen. So what we're going to do is assume it's for the recruiter. And so we go ahead and have a look at the activity feeds and see what's happened. You'll see actually from Amelia, one of our recruiters here at Venetron, our test company, we've generated a link for Simon to book himself in for the screening call. So we can go ahead and have a look at that. And you'll see this is branded, Venetron is our made-up company, and it's personalized for Simon, so he's got all of his details there ready to go. This is detecting his time zone, so let's go ahead and pick a time on Thursday, and that's booked. Now that's booked into Amelia's calendar and it's booked into Simon's calendar. And if we look here back in, just do a quick refresh here, you'll see here that when we look at the job, the preliminary screening call has now been booked in. So really what we've worked hard to do with this integration is to make sure that we're updating everything in Greenhouse as if you did the scheduling yourself. So that's all good. We're happy with that. Let's assume that Simon got through that screening call as well. And then we'll kind of move forward to the next stage and go for the phone interview. And you see here we have another interview. And what that will have done is we'll have sent out another invite. So we just have to refresh that page again. And you'll see here this invite's gone out to Simon again. This time for the behavioral phone interview. So still from Amelia, but again, so she's coordinating all of this for Simon. And then we go through and pick those times. Again, you'll see this is the behavioral phone interview. We've got times are available. So let's pick next Thursday at 9. Again, still Simon's time zone. Confirm that. So again, that's been booked. But what's interesting about this interview is actually we selected from a pool of interviewers that we defined in Greenhouse. So we go ahead and refresh this page again and look at what's happened is actually Simon's been booked in with Steve Smith. So to give you, there are really kind of a couple of options you've got with this integration. One is Cronofy can be set up to try and infer the information about who should be interviewing these candidates from the Greenhouse interview plan. So we go ahead and have a look at the interview plan, go into job setup, and you'll see go to the interview plan, and the two interviews that we were looking at were the phone screen and the phone interview. We go into here, you'll see that we've got a 20-minute interview, and if you remember that link, actually I can probably show you that link here, is booked for 20 minutes for the screening call, but there are no default interviewers set up for that interview plan. So what we've done is said, well, we're going to assume the recruiter is doing that interview. Again, we can control these defaults, but that's how this has been set up. Whereas if we go back to the phone interview, you'll see that we had 30 minutes, and again, that I think it was this one was set up for 30 minutes. But actually, we had a series of interviewers that were default. So what we've done with this one is assume that's a pool of interviewers. Of course, we can make it set up as a panel as well, but we've done in this case a pool, and you'll see it picks Simon because he was available at that time. And so this is a way you can use Greenhouse, the information you probably have in Greenhouse already with the interview plan, to drive that self-serve behavior for those candidates. So that gives you an idea of kind of what you would do as a recruiter just using this, i.e. you don't have to leave Greenhouse. You can just kind of press on, move candidates through stages, they auto book, and all the information is pushed back into Greenhouse. And that's super important that we make sure that we're trying to create a situation where what happens outside of Greenhouse comes back into Greenhouse as if you were doing it yourself. We're really just helping all that process. But if we go through and look at the Cronofy integration for Greenhouse, so this is if you're a kind of an admin in Cronofy, you can go in and set up this Greenhouse integration. And we have what are called scheduling triggers. So one of our success team can help with integration settings, and there's credentials and all that kind of stuff. But what I just want to give you a clue here as to kind of how you would start to unlock other possibilities with this integration. So we have our two what we call scheduling triggers, and they're the things that are listening in for that change, a candidate moving from one stage to another. So we're going to have a look at the initial screening call. You'll see here we have a list of we've got our jobs in Greenhouse, and the interview plan is available to us here as well. And so we've said for the preliminary screening call, the scheduling rule we want to use is to resolve interviewers. Now, actually, you can also configure very complicated scheduling rules in Cronofy. So we've got access to our own pool that's been defined elsewhere. We can do things with complicated panels, with groups, with even sequences of interviews can all be defined as what we call scheduling rules in Cronofy that you can then trigger. So you don't have to set up the information in Greenhouse. It's one of the options for doing that. And also here is where you start to set up things like the template. So what does the event look like that's going into everyone's calendar? Importantly, you can make calendar events private. And we're seeing a real trend here among recruitment functions, realizing that candidate data is sensitive. And actually in the kind of an environment now where data privacy is increasingly important, whereas we may want to share our calendars with our work colleagues to know, so they can know when we're busy or free, we don't necessarily want to share the candidate's information with our colleagues. So we have that option there. And then, for example, the email template. And you can see here this kind of mail merge field for pulling in information from Greenhouse, personalizing this all for you. So you can very much give the candidate the impression that it's a kind of tailored experience for them. Complete whistle stop. I hope it gives you a kind of an indication of what might be possible. We'd love to talk to you about your own scheduling needs. One of the mantras we have here at Cronofy is give us your hardest scheduling problem and I bet you we can solve it. And I hope you get to speak to one of our team soon.